Hello and welcome to Football Daily's Cursed 11. For Halloween, we've put together a team of players who simply couldn't catch a break. Goalkeeper, Igor Akinfeev. The CSKA stopper was once a top prospect, linked with a move to Manchester United in the mid-2000s as the Red Devils struggled to find a reliable presence between the sticks. Well regarded in Russia, he has saved his worst performances for European competition. Akinfeev has been shafted by Lady Luck again and again, having now failed to keep a clean sheet in the Champions League in his last 40 consecutive games. But in October 2016, it seemed like fortune was on CSKA's side as Lassina Traore, on loan from Monaco, scored against his parent club to give the Russian side a lead. Akinfeev made several excellent saves to preserve the advantage before Bernardo Silva netted 3 minutes from time to deny the keeper his shutout. Akinfeev understandably went mental. Defender, Andres Escobar. Andres Escobar was a Colombian defender who, despite his surname, was known for good behaviour, earning the nickname the Gentleman of Football. And in 1994 he was called up to his country's World Cup squad, as the great Pele tipped Colombia to lift the trophy. However, in the second game of the group stage, the team needed a result after a 3-1 loss to Romania in their opening match. They faced the USA, and 35 minutes in, Escobar had to stretch to cut out a dangerous ball from John Harkes. He diverted it into his own net, and Colombia lost 2-1, exiting the tournament. The squad returned home in disgrace, and a few days later Escobar went out drinking to try and forget what had happened. He was sadly confronted by 3 men angry about the result and shot 6 times, dying less than an hour later. He was just 27 years of age. Defender, Holger Badstuber. 27-year-old defender Badstuber has been with Bayern Munich since he was a youth player, but has made less than 120 league appearances for the German Giants, which gives you an indication of the terrible health problems he's faced. In fact, Badstuber has played just 17 Bundesliga matches since 2013, with a cruciate ligament injury suffered in 2012 keeping him out for 532 days. In that time, he missed 124 games in all competitions, Bayern winning the treble and Germany winning the World Cup. Sadly, it now seems that the German will never have the career he deserved, after sitting out a quite incredible 1,095 days through injury, exactly 3 whole years without kicking a ball. Now that is a cursed player. Defender, Ledley King. Another talent lost to recurrent injury, Ledley King was once considered one of England's best defenders, this in a squad containing John Terry, Rio Ferdinand and Ashley Cole. The big centre-half joined Tottenham at just 16 and spent his entire professional career at the club, making 321 appearances in 14 years, an average of just 23 per season. Thierry Henry called King the toughest defender he had ever faced. But Ledley had his own challenges, as the cartilage in his knees was completely worn away. As a result, he had to play through excruciating pain and couldn't even train between matches. But King's talent made him a hero at White Hart Lane, where he was christened the cartilage-free captain. He eventually retired at just 31 years old, having received just 8 yellow cards in his entire career. Defender, Marcos Rojo. Yes, that's right, it's Marcos Rojo. No, we're not talking about the curse of being a shit player, which Rojo has definitely experienced, he's dog shit, but we're actually talking about the Argentinian's reputation as a bad luck charm in multiple major tournament finals. As a young player, Rojo actually picked up a Copa Libertadores winners medal with Estudiantes, but he didn't even make the bench for either game of the 2-legged final. By 2014 though, he had established himself in the Argentina national team, but nonetheless found himself on the losing side of 1 World Cup and 2 Copa America finals. Finally arriving at Man United, Rojo had the chance to do away with the hoodoo in the 2016 FA Cup final, but with the score deadlocked at 0-0, Rojo was subbed off, and without him, United recorded a 2-1 win. Midfielder, Aaron Ramsey. The captain of our 11, it had to be Arsenal's midfield and serial murderer, well kind of, Aaron Ramsey. Well known for his eye for goal, the Welshman's strike have often been followed by celebrity deaths, in what has been labelled the curse of Aaron Ramsey. A finisher in every sense of the word, Ramsey's mooted victims include Osama bin Laden, Steve Jobs, Whitney Houston, Paul Walker, David Bowie and Alan Rickman. Fortunately for other famous faces though, recurrent injuries have kept him off the pitch for long stretches, potentially saving dozens of lives. But if Jose Mourinho starts looking a bit under the weather, don't be surprised if Arsene Wenger puts Ramsey on penalty duty. Midfielder, Michael Ballack. How can a man with 5 league titles be cursed? Well, Michael Ballack joined Leverkusen back in 1999, and on the last day of his first campaign with the club, they sat at the top of the league on 73 points, with Bayern Munich on 70. A draw against tiny Unterhaching would have guaranteed Leverkusen the title, but Ballack netted an own goal and the game finished 2-0, whilst Bayern won and became champions on goal difference. However, 2 years later, redemption seemed close, as Leverkusen competed for the Bundesliga, the Cup and the Champions League in what would have been the first treble for a German club. It all fell apart again though, with a league loss to Dortmund on the last day of the season, a cup final defeat to Schalke, and Zinedine Zidane's volley in the Champions League final adding to a third failure. To cap it all, Ballack reached the World Cup final with Germany that same summer, before losing 2-0 to Brazil. Midfielder, Jonathan Richter. Getting struck by lightning is like getting a text from God saying he hates you. And that's exactly what happened to Denmark's Jonathan Richter when he was playing for Nordsjælland back in 2009. Richter was hit by lightning in the middle of an away game and went into cardiac arrest. Doctors put him in an induced coma and were unable to revive him for 12 days after complications in his condition. Eventually he was woken up and had no brain damage from the ordeal, speaking easily and reassuring friends and family that he was okay. However, his left leg was severely damaged by the electric shock and later that month was amputated below the knee. Apparently this improved his condition, but unsurprisingly, he has been unable to resume a career in football. Forward, Ryoichi Maeda. Who, most of you are saying, but the Japanese football fans among you are thinking, that bastard. Maeda played as a forward for Jubilo Iwata between 2000 and 2014. Netting 187 goals in around 450 games for the club, and twice finishing as the J-League's top scorer. But between 2007 and 2012, Maeda was working some strange voodoo against the division's other teams. For 6 consecutive seasons, the team Maeda scored his first goal of the campaign against went on to be relegated from the J-League. Most remarkably, the curse afflicted Gamba Osaka, who had finished in the top 3 for 3 years running, but dropped after Maeda struck against them. The Urawa Red Diamonds finally broke the spell in 2013, as they stayed up, while Maeda and his teammates were relegated. We guessed that in this Japanese version of Final Destination, somebody had to go. Forward, Eusebio. Eusebio joined Benfica as a teenager in 1960, coming under the leadership of legendary Hungarian manager Bela Guttmann. With radical tactics and a young gifted squad, Benfica won back-to-back European Cups, beating Real Madrid 5-3 in the second. Ferenc Puskás even handed Eusebio his shirt, and Benfica looked set for years of continental dominance. But when Guttmann asked the board for a pay rise to match his achievements, he was denied, and as he left the club, reportedly said, "Not in 100 years from now will Benfica ever be a European champion." The side then went on to lose the next 7 European Cup finals they reached. And in 1990, with a showdown against Milan looming, the fans were desperate. Eusebio, now an old man, went to the grave of his former coach and, weeping, begged Guttmann to lift the curse. But Benfica lost 1-0, and since they have only managed to reach 2 Europa League finals, they lost both of those as well. Forward, Carlos Hermosillo. Mexican striker Hermosillo was playing for Cruz Azul against Club Leon back in 1997, when something really weird happened. In those days, the Mexican League was decided by a playoff tournament, and the score was tied in the dying minutes of the second leg. Hermosillo took a hefty kick to the face from Leon goalkeeper Comiso, who covered the grass of the penalty area with blood. The ref awarded a spot kick, but Hermosillo refused the officials' instructions to wipe his face clean and scored the penalty whilst dripping with claret. Azul won the title, but the blood was afterwards seen to have cursed both teams. Leon were relegated a couple of years later, but regained promotion, while Azul went on to come second in more than 10 league and cup competitions, including the 2001 Copa Libertadores. 20 years on, they still haven't won another league championship, and have been given the nickname the Sub-Champions, all thanks to Hermosillo's bloody nose. Nice one, Carlos.
So there we have it, but what do you guys at home think? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you click here for loads more great content and down there to subscribe. And as always, guys, we'll catch you later.